Story title: He found his twins tied to a tree. The truth shattered his world. Before Lagos woke, before the Danfo buses honked on Third Mainland Bridge, before the sun painted the lagoon gold, Julian Adeyemi stood in the back seat of his black SUV, staring at the city lights. The night smelled of smoke and fried akara from roadside vendors, the kind of smell that clings to memory. His chest was heavy, a heaviness that money could not erase. He had left his office at midnight, restless, something inside whispering to him, "Go home. Go now." The gates of his Ikoyi mansion opened slowly, the guard surprised to see him. His house was quiet, too quiet, the kind of silence that feels wrong, that makes the skin prickle. He walked through the marble hallway, footsteps echoing, heart beating with an odd rhythm. He thought he heard a sound, faint, almost like a whimper. He stopped breathing to listen. Then he heard it again, a small cry, raw, desperate. He rushed out to the garden. The night air hit him, cold against his skin. The garden lights cast shadows of mango trees swaying. And there, under the largest one, his world shattered. His twins, Daniel and Amara, only 6 years old, were tied to the trunk with rough ropes around their tiny wrists. Their clothes were damp with dew, their feet bare, their faces streaked with tears. Their sobs cut through the night like knives. Julian's breath caught. His knees almost gave way. He stumbled forward, fumbling with the ropes, fury boiling inside him. "Jesus Christ, who did this to you?" His voice broke as his trembling hands pulled the knots apart. Daniel clung to him immediately, arms wrapping around his neck, body shaking. Amara's cries were softer, hoarse, her little hands cold like ice. He held them both, pressing their faces into his chest, tears burning his own eyes. Guilt surged like a tide. How had it come to this? He, a man worth millions, a man whose name opened doors in Lagos, had failed at the one place that mattered most, his own home. As he rocked his children in the moonlight, memories came rushing back, sharp and bitter. Before now, Julian's life was not always this way. He had grown up in Ajigunal, in a one-room house where rain leaked through the zinc roof, where nights were long and hunger was louder than sleep. His mother, Ruth, sold bread by the roadside, her hands always cracked from heat and flour. His father had left when he was a child, leaving nothing but debt and silence behind. Poverty wasn't a stranger, it was the air he breathed. Julian's school bag was always torn, his shoes patched with cardboard. He remembered running through muddy streets, clutching notebooks damp from rain, yet refusing to miss class. He remembered the ridicule of other children, the shame of sitting in class with a stomach growling. But he also remembered Ruth's voice, steady and soft, telling him at night, "My son, the world will try to break you, but you must not let it. One day, your name will open doors." It was Ruth who saved coins in a plastic tin, who prayed under flickering candles, who whispered hope into the ears of a boy who had none. Her faith was all he carried, and with it he endured. But loneliness was constant. He would stare out of the cracked window some nights, watching the stars, wondering if his life would ever matter. One Sunday at Christ Assembly Church, under the cracked wooden cross, Julian first noticed Mary. She wasn't the prettiest girl, but when she sang in the choir, her voice poured over him like water on dry soil. She held a torn hymn book, its spine broken, pages slipping, yet she sang as though heaven was listening. For weeks, he watched her, too shy to speak, too aware of the holes in his shirt, the patches on his trousers. Then one morning, after service, she dropped her Bible. He bent quickly, their hands brushing as they both reached for it. "Let me help," he whispered. She looked at him, truly looked, and smiled. That smile lit a part of him that had been dark for too long. From that moment, Julian felt seen. Their love was simple, humble. They shared roasted corn on the roadside, studied by candlelight, dreamed under the branches of mango trees. She believed in him when no one else did, encouraged him when he thought of quitting. They spoke of the future, of children, of escaping the cycle of poverty. Her faith became his second anchor. But not everyone celebrated. Julian's uncle, Michael, once warned him, "Julian, be careful. Not every smile is true, and not every ambition is clean. Gold that shines too bright can burn your hand." Julian dismissed it. He was young, in love, and desperate to rise. He thought love and ambition were enough to guard against danger. Time moved, and with relentless determination, Julian climbed. Through the University of Lagos, through sleepless nights of study and side hustles, until he landed a job in real estate. His ideas were bold, his drive unmatched. Soon, he started his own company, Adeyemi Holdings. Money began to flow. Cars, houses, the kind of success that once felt like myth. The boy who once patched shoes now wore suits tailored in Europe. But success carries shadows. With wealth came distance. Mary, once his partner in struggle, became distant. The laughter between them grew rare, the space between their conversations wider. She raised their twins often alone, while Julian traveled for deals in Abuja, London, Johannesburg. The man who once held her hand at bus stops now shook hands with governors and billionaires. And slowly, the bond that held them began to crack. The betrayal came like lightning on a clear day. One Friday night, Julian returned early from Abuja. He wanted to surprise Mary, to have dinner as a family. He walked quietly into his home, smiling at the thought of his children running into his arms. But the house was too quiet. He headed to his study, and what he heard froze him. Mary's soft laughter. Another man's voice. A tone too intimate, too familiar. And then words that sliced through him. He may have money, but he doesn't have your time. He doesn't see you like I do. Julian's vision blurred. His hands trembled. His heart hammered against his ribs. Through the crack of the door, he saw Mary leaning closer to the man, her face glowing in a way he hadn't seen in years. His world collapsed silently. The woman he had loved under the cracked cross, the mother of his children, was no longer his. He didn't storm in. He didn't shout. He carried the weight of that betrayal like stone in his chest, watching his family fracture in front of him. That night, he sat alone in his car, in the driveway, staring into the darkness. And he made a vow, if she chooses betrayal, I will not fight with fists. I will fight with truth. For my children, I will rise stronger. The weeks that followed were quiet but deliberate. He moved funds, secured properties, shifted power in silence. His trusted aide, Toby, helped him piece together evidence, fraud, secret accounts, betrayals that Mary and her new partner had hidden. Julian built his case brick by brick, preparing for a war that would not stain his dignity. The showdown came in a boardroom in Victoria Island. Mary had sided with her new partner, a powerful investor who sought to take over Adeyemi Holdings. Papers were ready, the board expecting Julian's defeat. The room buzzed with confidence from his enemies. But Julian walked in calm, tailored suit sharp, eyes steady. He placed files on the table, evidence of fraud, conspiracy, betrayal. He spoke not with rage, but with cold clarity. I built this from nothing, he said, voice low but carrying. No one, no betrayal, no greed, will take it from my children. The silence was heavy. The rival's face drained of color. The board shifted, murmurs rising. The deal collapsed before their eyes. Mary's face, pale with shock, turned away. The empire she tried to seize had slipped. Julian walked out without looking back. Her downfall was slow. The partner abandoned her. Friends scattered. The woman who once held him under mango trees now sat alone in an empty house, stripped of trust, stripped of the family she had betrayed. For Julian, life took a quieter turn. In the midst of rebuilding his home, he noticed Naomi, a teacher at Daniel and Amara's school. She wasn't flashy, didn't care for his cars or money. But she noticed the children. She bandaged their knees when they fell. She listened when they whispered fears. She hugged them when they cried. Slowly, Julian saw what he had missed all along. Love is not always fire. Sometimes it is steady light. Months later, Julian took Naomi and his twins to Ruth's small house in Ajigunle. His mother, now older, her hands more wrinkled, welcomed them with tears. Over a simple meal of bread and stew, Julian introduced Naomi. Mother, this is Naomi. She has been light to the children when I was blind. Ruth reached across the table, placed her hand over Naomi's, and said softly, Then she is family. That night, under the same leaking roof where his dreams began, Julian lay awake listening to the rain tapping on zinc. He looked at his children sleeping peacefully, Naomi's gentle breath beside them, and his mother humming a hymn in the next room. For the first time in years, he felt whole. He realized that money could build mansions, but only love could build a home. And as dawn broke over Lagos, with smoke rising and the city waking, Julian knew the truth. Success is not measured in wealth or power, but in the arms of those who love you and the courage to protect them.